Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors and Stone Creek Hound Supply. Be sure to check them out for all your hound hunting needs.
Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
I've been around them for 20 plus years and had a few of them. Been blessed. I'll say that. And bred a few. Hey, I've handled quite a number. I mean, I guess I was blessed to have some run through my hands that other guys might not have had the opportunity to. And, so I've had like my story. I guess I started because I had a hip injury as a kid, and things like that. So I guess it's kind of a unique story how I got into it.
Well,
Kind of fell in my lap, and
if you want to start there, we can start there.
whatever works. I don't know. I think it's all about connections with me. I mean, people I've met and
absolutely,
things like that, and just people that have helped me, and not just in coon hunting, just friends. Just that call me and talk. We just we talk dogs. But we also talk a lot of other things.
Oh, I know. Like I've told people this more than once. People outside of hounds. It's like my best friends today, like, are all houndsmen. And two of my best friends within hounds live in opposite corners of the country.
Yeah.
Well, at Autumn Oaks, like, that was the first time I'd ever met Jason Doobie, but me and Jason Doobie are really good friends.
Yeah.
And it's just funny.
I've met him too since then, and yeah, he's an awesome guy. And his wife too. I think they're doing an awesome job for all dog sports, really, especially the hound hunting world.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of, I work as an ag teacher. I live, my job's right down the road.
There you go.
I'm blessed to get to work with young people and students that, and I take young kids hunting and try and get them into it. But it's just, dog hunting is just like we started out with. I mean, we're like the low hanging fruit of all the hunting industry right now. And
oh yeah,
it's not the cool thing to do. 50 years ago, everybody hunt dogs, but now it's like I've lost so many spots just to deer hunters and things like that. So
I'm sure
I've tried to build relationships back with neighboring landowners. I've got a lot of hunting around the house, but I don't have a lot of hunting that I can hunt right now.
I get it. Now, are you at least able to get in there like after deer season?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, is talking to these guys and working with them and building relationships. And so I've got 3 or 4 guys that they invite me to come out after deer season, and they'll let me hunt through most of the summer too if they most of them will. Some of them not so much, but yeah. So that's a good thing. So and I'm really starting to get that back. Just they know there's a lot of coons and they want turkeys and things like that. So I'm fine with working, making those relationships with those guys and talking to them. So,
yeah.
But somehow aren't, But
I had a landowner similar to that. Didn't want me in there at first, until at least after archery season. Like, they're big archery hunters, not big on rifle hunting, or gun hunting, and I don't know what changed the guy's mind. I never really pushed it. I was just like, hey, a spot after deer season, great. Like, I'll take it. And, like, after 2 years of hunting there, he was like, yeah, give me like the first week. And after that, whatever. I was like, okay. Like, fine by me. And if it's like, if you hunt more on the weekend, then won't hunt the weekends. Like, if you're, whatever works, like, I'm more than willing to work with you. This is your property. Like, you're doing me a favor. So,
yeah. So I've tried to do that over the years, and my dad was one of them that really did it. He's always hunted with me, and he pushed the limit back in the day and tried to really. That was back before cameras. He'd ask them guys, like, we go to church with some of those deer hunters, and he'd ask them, did it affect your deer hunting this week? Because we were just hunting. They were hunting grounds that they didn't own. They got permission to hunt on, and we were doing the same thing on neighboring farmers.
Yeah.
Finally, that one guy that chased that deer, he's like, "Yeah, you're not messing with my deer hunting." So we laughed at that. We proved that wrong a long time ago.
Yeah.
But oh well. I won't
No,
keep you any longer.
that's the hard thing. You know, I know my local, not my club, but a local club here. They stopped having all their hunts in the fall, pretty much,
Yeah.
because they lose all their spots.
Mhm.
And even one of my local guys from my local club, he like loses half his spots for the fall. So
Yeah. Well, I probably do. I mean, right now I pretty much have to hunt on public land, and thank
hmm
goodness we have some halfway close. But I've got one or two landowners, but I can't really. Dogs can't get off of that property when they normally wouldn't matter.
yeah,
If they did or not. Right now, yeah, they're all on edge. Deer season just opened this week.
yep. Whereabouts are you? Or are you?
Well, you know where they have all the big PKC hunts in Salem, Illinois?
Yeah.
In Illinois? I live 15 minutes from Salem, just to the
Okay.
north of. Yeah,
Gotcha. I was out
yeah,
that way for the first time this past spring for Black and Tan Days in Flora. That was the first time
right.
I was ever out there.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Flora Club and have helped them guide many times. And
Gotcha.
actually, that's one of the first places I went to coon hunt at was Flora. Might
That's
have been
pretty
the
cool.
first place to coon hunt. So yeah,
Well,
there was had big hunts back in the day, and then little, it would be little hunts now. The regular hunt had like 40 dogs at it back then.
shoot,
But
if I couldn't even imagine, like, you know, where I live. Like, I live over here on the eastern side of Pennsylvania, and a a good turnout for us is like 16 dogs. So I'm
yeah,
like, these clubs that put hundreds of dogs in the woods, for a big event, I'm just like, I don't get how you do it. We don't have the spots. Like
yeah,
anything over 16, we're like, where are we going? Like, how are we not going to step on each other's toes here?
yeah. So what town are you near out there?
Um, I'm about an hour from Philadelphia. I'm about an hour from Baltimore.
You're not too far from like where Hershey's at and things like that, right?
I'm about an hour and a half from Hershey.
Okay. I just knew back when I was in college, we took a college. We had a trip out there, and ag like a post-secondary ag students trip out there to. I
Yeah.
think we had a conference in Hershey. But
Yep.
yeah, the only time I was really out there in that area. But yeah, I can imagine. There's a lot of more homes there than what we even have here.
Oh yeah. And both cities just keep moving further and further out. Like,
I'm usually going right now, so I'm just talking about you.
well, we had already talked about it. Then I saw that you were laid up, and I'm like, this is probably the best time to do it.
Yeah, because winter's going to hit, and I'm going to want to be hunting right now in the evening. So I don't think I missed 4 or 5 nights in the month and a half leading up to the World Hunt. Hunting
Man.
through, I don't think I missed much. I was hunting. My wife she knew I was on a mission. She's like, "You're crazy." I said, "I just want to do well." So I'm just getting after it. Spend a lot of nights, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, trying to hunt. Sometimes going to work. Oh, yeah. But that's what I do. I'm crazy about it. I made up with it. I love it. And I kind of like what we were talking about the videos. I just want a dog to perform well when I go take it to hunt. And
Yep.
when I'm on a big stage, especially, if I'm just messing around at home, okay, But whenever people are paying attention to who's in the matchups and whatever else, and it's like,
Yeah.
I feel it's kind of like one of those things. Like if I'm hunting, people remember somebody's hunting a redbone. They wouldn't remember me if I was hunting a walker dog. If I was hunting a
True.
leopard or a quad, anything like that, they'll remember who you are. That kind of thing. So it's just like, I don't know. That's just been my kind of, I don't know. It's who I am.
Well, who are
It's
you for
all
the
right. We'll go.
listeners?
I am TJ Bolin, 37 years old. Been married to my wife Casey for 13 years now. I have 2 girls. I have Grace at 7 and Maddie at 3.
Okay. Similar ages to my boys. 7.
Right, yeah,
Mine are
that's
7
right.
and 4.
Yeah, I during the day I work as a high school ag teacher. Well, I work a lot of evenings too. Going to FFA events and
Mm-hmm.
provide opportunities for my students. But I do find a lot of time to coon hunt, and I've been blessed to own and handle and have worked with and bred a little bit with Redbone coonhounds. 20 plus years now.
So the first question, why Redbones?
Why Redbones? Well, it kind of goes back to my start. I had a hip injury. I was 9 years old, and a hip injury that was pretty serious that required like pinning and stuff. Like my hip came out of place.
Oh, geez.
I had a older gentleman that was down the road that my dad knew. I think through his horseshoeing business or just being, a neighbor from down the road out in the country. I'm not sure exactly the connection, but I believe his name was Skip Lyons. But he ran foxhounds and he had a coonhound, a male dog, and he worked for the railroad. And he had a buddy that worked with him on the railroad that come and brought a Redbone Jip to breed his Redbone male. And he ended up with his pup in his kennel he didn't know what to do with, and that was my dog. So that was my start.
Okay.
She had no papers, and he didn't care about papers. But his male dog that he had did have papers. So he was a dog that went back to some really old bloodlines from back in the 70s and 80s. House's Tall Timber Talker and dogs like that. The dog was like 13 years old in 1997 whenever I got this pup out of him. So, and we knew he was a real Redbone, and we trusted that the guy, the old man that kept all the hounds, knew that he bred a Redbone Jip, and the female that I had, she was a Redbone. But we ended up getting her single registered and went through that whole process. And turns out she was a measuring stick of a dog. I mean, she was a really, really good dog, balanced, could run on track and work it up, and tree a tough run, tree easy ones. We were just blessed. We didn't even know what we had for a while. But anyway, she got to be about 3 or 4 years old. We started taking her to some hunts. Maybe not even that old. I don't know how old she was. It was around probably 99 or 2000. I was going to some hunts, and actually, I think I was probably one of the ones. Me and my dad hunted her both. My dad, Tim, he hunted her some, but I probably did quite a bit of the handling. 13, 14-year-old kid there when we were starting out, and I still remember some of my first casts hunting. We were going to hunts there in the springtime. That's when they were really popular back then. That February, March, April time frame.
Oh yeah.
The dog was doing really good. We had no idea what we were doing, and we kept making friends, I guess, if they could say, she was winning, and we kept going. The bug got us, and it bit, and it hasn't let go of me yet. And I did raise some pups out of that dog. We bred her to a dog named Oklahoma Red Twister. And so she didn't have very many puppies. I think there was 6 puppies in that litter that she raised, and they went all over the Midwest to my memory. I mean, I had a list of where they went, but it's been 20 years plus ago,
Yeah.
But I ended up keeping 3 of them at my house. So I had half the litter, and all 3 of them were really good dogs. I ended up losing one. Her name was Lucy. She was almost the night champion. But then I had 2 of them that we kept their entire lives. And they were probably in some respects just nearly as good as their mother. But they had a lot of characteristics of their sire. The Twister dog was a well-known dog in our area. He was from about 2 hours north and east of us over towards Indiana, over Marshall, Illinois, where they had the World Hunt a few weeks ago. And there's still a lot of Redbone guys in that area. So I've just been stuck with them, and I've never had anything. I can honestly say, back when I was a kid, my dad, we had a few dogs, maybe 1 or 2 other off-breed dogs, but we circled right back these Redbones because we had what we wanted, and we're familiar with them, and I guess, after 4 or 5 years of it like that, we just kind of just said, this is where we want to be at. My passion, I guess, and what makes me do what I do is I love to take a dog that's a Redbone to a larger event and be able to compete with these Walker dogs that are all, have all this hype about them or whatever.
Yeah.
Even if I don't beat them, I just want to I want them to know that I was there and that I had something that was competing with that dog. And my goal is to win at that high level. And I don't know if my schedule will allow that, if things are going to align right, if we're going to hit it. But I'm going to keep trying. And
Yeah.
I came close a few times this year hunting this dog named Penny, and had some success. But she did fairly well at the TKC World Hunt this spring here at Salem, near where I live. And won an early round cast, and then got beat in a late round and I hunted her again later in the week, and had another good showing. But we just didn't put it together. And then she was 2 then. She just turned 3 in May. So I was very happy with how she performed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the most recent one I've had. I've had a lot of dogs in between, I guess. But I guess
you hunted her in the duels at Autumn Oaks, didn't you?
Yeah, we did hunt her. I hunted her in the duels. She won her cast there on. We hunted on Thursday night. We hunted a 90-minute cast. She was the only coon we treed was her coon that she treed down near the end of the hunt. She got in there 700-800 yards and got treed. And the thing about her, when she gets treed, you can pretty well count on you're going to see a coon.
Nice.
So she's got the heart and the drive and the willingness to please. She's got a lot of things on the list that she checks off for me for something that I would want to hunt and to breed. She's a good hunting dog, but my little girls are just flat out just in love with that dog.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done all the training with her and finished her to show champion. My daughter did, my 7-year-old.
Nice.
So,
how did she do in the bench on at the duels?
Well, I pulled out all the stops. I guess I got up Friday morning early. And I got thinking, I don't have these opportunities very often. So I got prepping her for the show. Actually, I think it was the night before. I got a good friend that's shown dogs for a long time. She's similar to my age. Kind of grew up going to the hunts and then seeing her there at the Andy Elburn, Andy Embry now, the same young lady that won the world show with her Hank dog.
Yep.
And so I asked her if she would mind showing Penny for me. She'd been around Penny this summer. We National Redbone Days, and she'd worked with my daughters, in the kids shows, and they'd showed against each other, and had a big time at National Redbone Days. And that was I was never really a show guy, but just being around these individuals that are showing dogs just really has got me. It's just enjoyable. And my girl, growing up, it's been something for us to all enjoy together. But I mean, Andy's been a big help. I mean, over the years, and then this summer especially. So I asked her to show Penny for me, and I got her ready for her, and a couple of my friends that I've been good friends with for a long time in the Redbone breed helped me get her ready that were there. I had my buddy Corey Schuler that traveled with me out there, and he's my backup handler all weekend long. And so he was keeping everything together as far as keeping dogs taken care of and all that. But then Tim Appleby and John Ingram, they jumped right in that morning and helped me get toenails right and get everything right, because I'm not really much of a show person. I mean, not on the big show. You really, like, when you go in those shows like they have in Autumn Oaks, which is awesome. I think it's great for our coon hunting world to see that kind of stuff. But they helped me get her looking as good as she can. She's not a real show dog. I mean, she's just kind of I would call her a dual purpose dog. She's got an athletic build about her, small and compact, and she gets along with everybody. She's got the right temperament. I handed her over to Andy, and she buddied right up with her, gave her a few treats, and they went about their day. She got it out of her. And we were showing against some other nice dogs. I mean, Redbones are, for the most part, they're pretty well built dogs, especially the ones that were entered in the duels.
Yeah.
I mean, she had her work cut out for her, and then she showed for overall, and I believe the English dog won. But
yeah,
just to be shown for overall, to have a chance at it.
Exactly.
Awesome. we hope to come back and try for another shot sometime, maybe hopefully next year. But yeah, that was the start for me in the duels. I've always wanted to keep a dog around though that had a build about them that they would hold up. So they got to have good feet, got to
Yeah.
have straight legs, and be able to move. And you can tell a dog that's able to move and get through the woods by how they move and how they gait. And there's it's not just about speed; it's about longevity and endurance to me with a hound. And we're not in the coon hunting world. We're not doing what they're doing with like the lion hounds and things like that. But
Yeah.
our dogs, they still got to be able to hold up. Especially a lot of times now we're hunting double headers and
Yep.
trying to plate rounds with them. And if a dog's flat-footed or just doesn't have very good structure about them, they're not gonna hold up whenever we're wanting to whenever we're needing them to perform a coon hunt somewhere. Uh, they're gonna you're gonna be doctoring on them. You're gonna be working on a foot got an infection in them because they got a thorn, or things like that.
Yep.
So I've always wanted to try and keep a dog. I think with this dual championship that the UKC is doing, so shout out to Alan and Trevor and all the UKC staff for making an event like that happen and all the work that goes behind the scenes that's making those events happen. And, I've worked with those guys for a long time. I knew Alan and hunted with Alan before he got the job with UKC. He's always been an outstanding guy, and I've gotten to know Trevor a lot here in the last few years, too. So those guys have always been around and helping me out, and I try and help them out when I can and judge and things like that when I'm able to on cast. And
for sure.
it's an honor for me to be able to help out and be in those situations. But yeah.
Yep. Well, good deal. And then you hunted also in the grand hunt as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I hunted on Friday night.
You guys had a rough cast.
Oh man, yeah. Sometimes you get those. It just doesn't. Everything just doesn't line up perfectly. And
well, the weather was horrible too.
The weather was very warm. We were hunting in a thunderstorm, and it rained on us. We were soaked. I don't know if it was sweat or rain or both, but it was a hunt to remember. The dog did what she needed to do. Just did not. We did not see the coon, but we were trying to shine her tree in the pouring down rain, lightning, wind. It was not in the middle of the woods. It was not a good tree to score on, but it was the tree that she made. She was over there about, I don't know, probably 0.6 of a mile or something off my Garmin. We got her treed in over there. We were on property we weren't supposed to be on. I got talked to by a landowner that was not too happy to be seeing me at midnight over there.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
that's not good.
So we turned them loose one time, and she went the other way from the dogs, and she went right by this guy's house. So we called time out because nothing was happening. And that's when I think it was me and Jason Doobie got talked to by the landowner. Yeah, he got some interesting signs in his yard about how he didn't think that, he didn't like trespassers too much. But we didn't start out trespassing. I was very apologetic and said, "Sorry, sir, I've got my dog, and we're leaving your property." And he was agreeable, and I was thankful for that, and glad to have my dog in hand and in a safe spot. But we went and turned loose again in the exact same spot that we turned loose the first time, which is not very good. But I tried to find the spot, tried to get a spot out of him, the guide, and they said there was no other spot. So I said, okay. And we had like 25 minutes or something like that, 20 minutes or so to hunt. And we just didn't get another tree made. And that was what she needed to do. And it's just the way it works. She would have been, if we would have found her too, we can't talk about if, she had a chance to be in the National Grand Redbone. But hey, to be there and have the chances, I had a successful weekend. We were there. She was competitive. She looked good, and it is what it is.
Yep. Now you're hearing all these podcasts. A lot of it's about breaks too. So
Exactly.
Your dog's got to operate, but like you said, you're shining a tree in the pouring down rain.
there wasn't anything that was really going to work great. Thermals, it was
Yeah.
a great big huge tree in the middle of the woods and it poured down rain. It was a lot of things going against it. So, there's some things just going to stand out in your mind, and that's going to be one of them going to stand out to me for a little while,
Yeah.
And like you say, it takes breaks. A lot of times when you get to competing at the bigger levels, all dogs are good dogs, and it's going to be whoever gets in the right spot at the right time and gets on the scorecard, and or gets on the scorecard first even, and gets able to cut loose with the no leash lock and
Yep.
all those things. But that's why I do what I do.
But you said Penny's not the first comp dog. So what have you had in the past and what all have you accomplished with your Redbones?
Well, I've been very, very blessed, and my dad and I have had some dogs together, and I've always had dogs that you can put. I said were mine, and some were his, but they were our dogs, But we started back with that Prairie Creek Joanne female. We made her a Grand Night, that single registered female, and that would have been around 2000, 2001. We would have made her a Grand Night. And then we raised some puppies out of her and enjoyed her the rest of her life. She lived a long life there at the place. And so we had success out of that litter out of her. Had two Grand Night dogs out of her, one named Jewel, another named Buck. They were out of a dog named Oklahoma Twister that was directly out of old Joe Melton's Fireball dog. So that was, and we made so many friends from doing that. Mr. Ed Brown that owned Twister was one of them, and then all the rest of the guys up at Marshall and Ed Brown's wife and Rosemary and the all-night Redbone crew that has kind of went away from hunting right now. That would have been like Kevin Shirley and Butch Roeder and Jeremy Neff, otherwise known as Butterbean, and those guys. And we had so much fun hunting with those guys back there in that early mid-2000s. I learned so much about hunting just in general. And, I'll never forget, like, hunting with Kevin Shirley and Butterbean. And you hunt with those guys after the regular hunt got over.
Oh, jeez.
You're so tired coming back at daylight, coming in from hunting. And those guys, every time they treat a coon, they do like the Jerry Clowers thing. And they'd go throw them coons out. They'd be climbing trees. And, it was such a fun time. So that's just such good memories for me. That was my teenage years.
Yeah.
Hunting with those guys. I mean, like, growing up with those guys, it was a hoot, man. And so those were some of the dogs I had back then. And then I guess I moved around into maybe a little bit more of the competition world, and I partnered on a dog named Tara with a guy from Tennessee named Richard Lambert. He's been around Redbone since and bred many crosses. You can find a lot of his dogs having a lot of success yet today. But my dog was related to a lot of the dogs that he was breeding back then. And hunted her in the Farina race back in 2007, so the UKC series. Traveled, I don't know. I used to remember the stat. I think we hunted her that year in 14 states.
Oh, wow.
And I think there were 10 of them. Had some guys that helped me hunt her out there in Virginia. That were friends of mine and Richard's, and then I took her to lots of state hunts over here near me and some walk and breed days. Living near Flora here where I live at. We got actually she came and heat that spring. I didn't get to hunt her at the breed days at Flora, but I did get to hunt her at Redbone days, the June and July hunts. But so she placed fifth that year, even being in heat those 3 weeks during the breed days. So I did fairly well. Won the Redbone Park. I got to hunt with guys like Robert Raxter and Mojo, back before Mojo was owned by Scott Engel and guys like that. So that was a fun time. We had a really good rivalry. I made really good friends with Jim Ridge, the English dog man from Indiana. I'm still good friends with him today. Him and Chris Girth, me and Canada and those guys. I call him every once in a while for dog advice. He's a really good dog man, good dog vet, how to treat dogs and keep them together. But he helped me get my dog moved around and things like that because he was running the Farina race. I mean, just outstanding guy. And
Conkeys Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkeys motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need
when you need it. Conkeys carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
So that was that year. Then the next year I helped Johnny Biggert and Jono Biggert hunt a dog. The Redbone guys might recognize, called Moonlight Aftershock. He's off the Wrong Way Ace and Moonlight Cape. Didn't own a hair on him, but I treated him like he was mine for a few months and hunted him. I also hunted a dog named Carl Braun's Buddy. He was another Grand Night dog. All these dogs made Grand Night. Like I said, some of them I hunted at the national level, Terra, and then I handled the Aftershock for Johnny there when he was, I think 2, 3, and maybe even when he was a 4-year-old there. I took him there for times there and hunted at some of the hunts near where I lived at. And then sometime there following those dogs and handling those dogs, my dad and I, Tim, had the opportunity to buy a dog. Her name was, she's a firecracker. We named her that. Her original owner was Curtis Blanc, who lives down here by us, and raised dogs, bred similar to ours, carrying a lot of Oklahoma Twister blood and Fireball blood.
Okay.
So we got a hold of her, and she was young. I was hunting my Terra female. I guess I can tell you the story about the first night I hunted with her. She was like 9 or 10 months old, and I was hunting with Curtis, just pleasure hunting. And this dog that I was taking all over the country, hunting in all the hunts, this young pup made her look like she was nothing. Treated like 3 coons, mine 1 or none. And I was like trying to buy her, trying to get her. Told my dad we got to do something. I didn't know how old I was. I was probably I don't know, late teens, early 20s. I was just me and my dad have always. We might not have hunted together, but we always hunted. We always updated each other. Always knew when we were hunting. Sometimes we'd hunt together, but it was always just a competition when we did. But we were always dogs together. And but anyway, Tracker, we called her Tracker. Firecracker was her name.
Yeah.
And she was a little dog, similar to this penny dog that I'm hunting now. Very well put together. Just she was her name all together. Very action packed, big, huge locate on a tree. You couldn't mistake it. That she was treed and sounded like she was 3 dogs and she was by herself. And she was a ton of fun to have and to hunt. And we bred her, I know, one time to a Yellow River Stone owned by Jeff Murphy. Yellow River Stone was a dog out of Yellow River Dock and a heavy twister bred female on the bottom side. So you're going to hear some of these names are familiar. Dogs I've hunted with and stuck with genetics. Because thankful for these guys that were breeding them and keeping the lines together, because here, nearly 25 years later, we're still messing with and hunting and training on the dogs that are carrying very similar blood, which I think is awesome.
Oh, for
and
sure.
It's kind of like it makes me reminisce. I'm hunting Penny, and she's off a dog that's been passed about 10 years ago, and she carries a lot of the similar blood. So that's kind of another thing that she marks off the list with the current dog that I'm hunting. Back to Firecracker, we bred her to Stone, got some puppies. And I got to give a shout out to Jeff Murphy. I was busy with just life happening at the time, being recently married, career changes and things like that, just transitions in life. And he sent me a dog by the name of Rocky that was off of this cross. Just brought him down to my house and said, "Here you go. You need a good dog to hunt." And
nice.
Just said, "Here." And this is the way these Redbone guys are that I'm friends with. This is the way we operate. Like, if we know that somebody needs a dog to hunt and they'll appreciate it, we make sure they get their hands on it. And that's just the camaraderie that our group of buddies have.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I think that's what, to me, that's what coon hunting's all about. My dad and I, we named our kennel name back in the early 2000s there when we were going good with our first few litters of dogs there. We named it the Illinois Redbone Connection, just because we felt like we were striving to make connections across the country.
Yeah.
And that's something we've always tried to do. But, we've made tons of good friends doing it. And just memories I'll never forget, and a lot of good life lessons out there team hunting. But
Oh yeah.
I guess Rocky would have been this dog Rocky that would have been off Stone and Cracker. Um, he just passed away this last year here at the house. He would have been over 13 years old. Um, I did get a few pups off of him. Harry O'Median actually has his current stud dog, the guy that has had the Yellow River line of dogs, which I feel is an honor. He's got a dog that's off of my dog that's carrying on, some of the things that he's doing up there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got a dog by the name of, I believe it's Yellow River Rat, or he got him from Kenny Hastings, which got the dog as a pup. But anyway, so that dog is off of my Rocky dog, and I just, I, it's just the line of dogs that has worked for us. And I'm not saying I don't have other dogs here in my kennel that don't carry that line of dogs, because I do. I'm blessed with some other dogs here in my kennel. I got a dog here, another dog that I kind of promoted here before I had Penny, and I purchased her for breeding purposes and to have a good dog to hunt. Her name is Superbird.
Okay.
Off of a female that you might have seen winning around 4 or 5 years ago named Engine Kit, and a male dog that's on the top reproducers list. He's passed away now, named Deepwoods Rocky, owned by Randy Pickens, the guy that was hunting a Walker dog in the final, I believe the final 3 of the world hunt here this year. But he used to be a Redbone man. But he's a good guy. But so I have a dog that's off of his old dog here at the house. She's 4 or 5 years old now.
Nice.
And so we hunted her at the World Hunt at the zones here at Florida too. My buddy Corey Schuler, he's my neighbor, lives here a few miles from the house. I've hunted with him about 7 or 8 years now. So he's been a huge help with taking care of dogs around here. Like right now when I'm down with my third ankle after my surgery here, he's been doing a lot of the chores with him and my dad, and we're good hunting buddies. We hunt a lot together, and he's been hunting some of these red bones. He used to be an Englishman, so I guess maybe he's seen some good red bone work over time. We've been good friends, but I've just been blessed with a lot of good friendships. Being able to see a lot of good red bones. I do have a couple of male dogs here in my yard that some of the top red bones in the breed, in my opinion. I got a dog by the name of Moonlight Club Doug. Did a lot of winning up in Michigan in the area up there. Some CHKC winning and things like that. He's
nice.
One Redbone days as a dog before he turned 2 years old. But he's owned by a man by the name of Taylor Case up in Michigan. I got some puppies off of him here this last week, and Penny's half sister I'm pretty excited about. They're just about a week, 10 days old. And then I got another dog. I'm very good friends with a guy by the name of Travis Oliphant. Owns a dog by the name of Crooked River Turkey, and that dog is he's in my kennel. I'm just blessed. They kind of wanted to move the dogs to the middle of the country, and I had a couple open kennel spaces, and trying to encourage people to breed to good red bones. And they knew I had a few females hanging around out here, and they thought maybe I might breed one. I'm sure if they were here.
Mm-hmm.
So that has happened, because I got some puppies out of Dud here in the last few weeks, and I'm very excited about them. And they're just kind of like when I'm talking about the dogs I used to hunt. These dogs are top dogs, and they're each in their own right. They've got some strengths and weaknesses, but I consider myself blessed to have had and become familiar with as many red bones as I have. I'm still trying to learn, especially about breeding practices and what crosses to make, and it's always just that chance, that risk that you're going to take to try and carry on to improve what you're hunting. And so I'm just as a high school ag teacher, and it's a case study on genetics at all times when you're trying to breed for ability with hounds.
Exactly.
And you're trying to, and I've seen a lot of success. I've seen a lot of dogs come from line bred crosses.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also seen dogs of mixed strains, or a little bit of what you might call an outcross.
Yeah.
And I've seen success in both. And I think there's purposes for both within our breed, and I'm all about trying to make the right crosses, no matter who has the dog and where it's at, as long as it's within reason and feasible. Because I guess I still have responsibility. We all have responsibility to take care of a home and families and jobs and things like that. Keep us
Oh
from
yeah, for sure.
doing some things that we might do if we had time and money were limitless. But like I said, I've got some awesome connections that I made across the country, and we've got the technology to do some things now with AI. And there's I know of dogs from back before I started hunting that are frozen semen in tanks that have options to go back to, and of course, I've got mixed feelings on those, but I laugh and chuckle and think back to I'm hunting a dog that's probably one of my most favorite dogs. That's a semen pup. So I
There
can't
you go.
really say I didn't think I thought it was moving backwards when we were starting to use semen and dogs that have passed away, but I don't know. I think there's a time and place where it could work and
Yeah.
work well because I've got one, and I think that the dogs in her litter have done well, and I think that's something that as breeders and as guys that care about the future of any breed of dogs that we got to look at families of dogs and crosses that have done well. And I look at these other breeds. I try and look at. I kind of have been dabbling a little bit and just learning about the mountain curs,
Hmm.
and it's something that interests me. I like those smaller dogs that are kind of purpose built, and
Yeah.
just that interests me. Which all dogs interest me, and if I'm interested in all of it. It's kind of my livelihood. I'm interested in all of the animals and in the livestock industry, but I do really enjoy purpose built dogs, whether it's a guardian dog or a dog that's a livestock dog that's supposed to be out there herding, or a bird dog, or
Hmm.
a hound that's bred to run a tree. I mean, I think it's just awesome that we have so many different uh, types of dogs that are bred within our country here in different regions and for specific things. And
Yep.
I think it's to see all that.
No, I'm right there with you. Heck, as a kid, I wanted to have literally one of everything. So as far as dogs go, so I'm
Yeah, I've kind of stayed. I can't really say that I've had one of everything in my kennel of Redbones. I guess I've got some different lineages of dogs I've kind of dabbled in, but I, I don't know. I just kind of look at it as I need to be very selective about keeping my kennel and what I like because
hmm
you're I don't know. We've only got so long to play, and so I've trying to look back to look and sit down and set some goals, some realistic goals, and realistic goals is I want to have some dogs that are competitive in both the hunt and show portion. I want more that not necessarily like Penny, but in the same competitive ballpark. I've had some, but I know what it takes to keep the dog, get one ready. I guess I've always said that for the last few years I've done more pup starting. So I always said I like to polish on one, because that was kind of my thing back when I was younger. I was taking hunt dogs just because I was younger and had the energy, and I just hunt. And if you hunt one enough and they're operating right, they're gonna you can get on the same page with one, and
Yep.
that's it's hard to hunt multiple dogs if you're trying to get on the same page with a dog to be able to compete at the big level. I feel like, and if you look at the guys that are winning at the larger money hunts and the PKC and pro sports, and even the guys in the higher level in UKC, they're taking a lot of time and getting right with that dog.
Hmm.
And I'm all about natural traits and positive reinforcement whenever I'm training with the dog. And I don't like. I'll run some T15 collars, but shoot, I don't even remember the last time I had a T15 collar on Penny. Like I I feel like you better dance with the dog that brought you to that hunt. It's kind of like your dance with the girl you went with. Like
Yep.
you gotta you gotta focus on their strengths, and you can't constantly be trying to get something out of something. It's not there. You're just not gonna get it out of them. And that's me. That's that's kind of a little bit of my philosophy on what I've kind of done with some of these dogs, and just mostly just hunting them. And if they did something I didn't like, I let them know that I didn't, that, by a firm hand, and really, really praise them whenever they did something right. And that's been my success. And to be honest, I don't know. Uh, Actually, I don't know if I could train a walker dog. I don't know if I'd really want to begin with. You got to have the want to. You got
Yep.
to have something that's going to get you out of the house. And a Redbone that I feel like is competitive is what's going to get me out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I wouldn't uh, that I would quit hunting if there wasn't competition hunting, because I don't think that's so. I'm really, really, like I said, I'm passionate about the breed, and they're purpose built. They're bred to chase game and trail it up, and raccoon hunting. It's it's in my blood now. I mean, it's like to my daughters and their enthusiasm about, and even my wife with how she's helped me out a ton with. I've been secretary treasurer of the National Redbone Association for 10 years now,
Oh wow.
and she's helped me out a ton with all that business and keeping that straight. I've been on the board, I guess, since I don't know, mid 2000s. I was pretty young when I got on the board. Been on the board of both associations, so I've been blessed to be involved in all that. So I don't know, I'm just passionate about the Redbone breed and what they do and how their temperaments for the most part, and how their willingness to please. The and this is something that I don't know. Some might seem silly to some, but I think Penny almost will do better if you would think she would do better if she's out there laying underneath the shade tree, vegging out all day. I
Mm-hmm.
think she does better when you hunt her the night after you've shown her and gave her attention all day long. Like she just has that kind of bond
Yeah.
with people that she wants to please people. And when she's getting petted and praised, and that's something that I've always appreciated about the Redbone breed, is I've had many that are like this. There, there's a few that might be kind of standoffish and just very, very independent or bullheaded, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of them that are just pleasurable to hunt and trainable. Um, you can catch them when you need to catch them, and especially with the new technology we have now with
Oh, for
home
sure.
breaking them and stuff like that. But I don't know the number of dogs that my dad and I have had that you just take them off the tree. You don't have to have a leash, and you tell them to go on, you tell them to go hunting. And, part of that came from guys that we used to hunt with, and they kind of did that with their dogs. Like, when you hunted with I grew up around a lot of English guys, and I guess he like a third, fourth cousin to me is Tony Lush, an English dog guy from right down the road. But that was the way he trained his dogs, and we kind of trained our dogs to do similar. And it's kind of just like we prided ourselves on how our dogs behaved, how they would perform out there pleasure hunting just as much as whenever we had them at a hunt. We wanted them to be able to do both and cross over, and so that was just and he was. I bring up Tony Lush. He was one of the guys that, and he'd probably tell you this in a lot more words than I could, but he was one of the guys that really got me ready to go to the competition hunt. Like he
Okay.
set up a mock competition hunt for me
Oh
back when
wow.
I was a kid. Yeah. He brought in one of his buddies, uh, David Tackett from Kentucky, and set up a one-on-one cast and blew this dog all up. And he was a dog that had been competitive out on the national level. And he took my first dog, the Joanne female, the first dog I had, and we hunted head to head. And they just laughed and cut up and all that. Tackett guy, David Tackett, I call him Tackett. All he tried to do was show me every trick that I would see in a hunt. So the handler trick to try and get in your head.
Yeah.
And I was 13, 14 years old, and it was just something that's always going to stick out in my mind. And I just always remember those experiences. And I try and pay them forward. pay those guys back for those with giving them to some new guys,
Yep.
and helping new guys out. Because if it wasn't because that's part of the reason why I think I have the passion that I have about hunting redbone. If Tony Lush and those guys didn't give me such a hard time about hunting that redbone that night, and ribbing me so hard, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it. Like
Yep.
they just flat out just most people they might have had in tears, but I just loved that dog, and she kept performing for me, and I just kept hunting, and I guess my dad kept encouraging me probably, being as a good dad would, saying, "Yeah, just stick with it. We got what works, and we're getting more out of her that are doing just the same thing." So we kind of just between the dogs that were coming out of her and the friends that we were making, it's just been an endless supply of an enjoyable time hunting redbones in the time that I've been around them, and I don't look for it to stop anytime soon. And these daughters of mine have got me excited. I'm having to figure out some good looking redbones instead of my old homely hunting dogs, which is
Yep.
fine too. They're going to go out and promote the sport of coon hunting through showing, and we're going to be able to share the sport through that. I'm all about it. I'll help them. I'll feed it. I'll figure out how to prepare their dogs. So I've been making friends in the show dog industry, and it's been a fun journey in that for the last year or two here since Grace has been showing Penny in the shows. And like I said, I'm proud of the fact that my girl, I don't even know if she was 7 at the time when she finished the dog the champion. She might have been 6. Like that's stuff. That's an accomplishment in itself. A young
Yeah.
girl like that can show a dog and get some best of shows on a female, and that's awesome. I mean, she got her show champion title. That's what earned her the dual champion thing. She might have showed against grand champions up there on the bench.
Oh yeah.
It didn't really matter. So we looked to see which title she had, and that just it gave me chills to hear her name called by I believe Alan Ginrich was calling the dogs out there in that show. Like that just makes you proud. Like I obtained Penny in just a chance situation. I seen her posted on Facebook. She was a lightly started dog, a walker dog guy by the name of Chris Gay that hunts PKC hunts. Had her out there in Nebraska, and he thought that she was a super stake pup, or had high hopes of her being a super stake pup when he got her, and she wasn't. And me and him struck a deal, and I very gracious of him for that. And this is how crazy I am about dogs. I jumped in the car and spent nearly 20 hours in the car round trip going and getting her. Took my wife's car, and I went out to Nebraska and 9 hours one way out there to go get a dog, and she rode in the back seat. I knew from that trip on she was a really good, well behaved dog. Though I mean, she rode in that car. I didn't bring anything with me besides the collar and a leash, and she just it was, So I guess me and her might have bonded on that trip. I don't know, but I guess funny story about her is not too long after I got her, my dad does a lot of he enjoys doing a lot of the yard work. I call it ground work, things like that with the dogs. And she'd gotten loose from him with the check cord on her, and she went hunting, and she got it and didn't have a garment on her at the time. We didn't expect her to get loose, and she was gone. I don't remember for how many days. But that's the kind of hunt that she has in her. So we found her in a standing cornfield with the check rope tangled up around corn stalks. Like we had almost thought we lost the dog. Like, but I think it's just she's meant to be. Like God says we need this penny dog in our lives right now. So here she is 2 years later, and I've hunted her for the last year and a half. And actually, I didn't start putting her in the hunts until about this time last year. I think
Okay.
I think she had about 8 cast wins last year, and then I stopped hunting her until 2024 to get her 5 cast wins for TOC this year and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I hunted her all last fall and got all the cast wins, and she did really, really well and it was hot, dry. That's one of her things, and that's a characteristic of these dogs. They can handle the tough conditions and those poor tracks, and when things are tough, you can count on them to get something done, and you don't have to. And when things are good, they're going to perform pretty good. So it's just for instance, like the World Hunt cast that I hunted her in just a few weeks ago, right before I had this ankle surgery the week before, because I told my wife, I said, if she makes the top 108, I'm not going to get this ankle worked on right now. I'm going to go to the World Hunt. And so that's fine, I understand. And she's just that kind. She's an awesome wife. And she's like, yeah, you've been working, for months all summer getting this dog ready. And I said, yeah. And she was winning the cast and sat, and she, I don't know, hunting in the moonlight night. I don't know. She doubted what she treed, and I have all my suspicions that I don't know. She thinks she had a possum. She got scolded earlier in the week for making one of them, and she has not been bad about them the entire time that I've hunted the dog and had her in the woods. But she come back to me and told on herself. She could have done anything. She could have left. She could have left where she was at, and I took a track minus and won the cast easily because she went over there. And the blue dog that beat me is a good dog. Don't get me wrong, but Penny had that much of a lead because the blue dog had made a tree, and then she went over there and made a split tree about 100 yards from him. She had her coon, so she was within knocking distance. And I said, "All right, let's call timeout." He asked me if I had what we were going to do, if we were going to cut there, if we were going to go to another spot. And I said, "No, I got a spot in my back pocket here, and we're going to go over here to this pond right next to this next to this house where people just stay every once in a while, kind of like a cabin. And there's always a coon there. I said, we'll get a good chance of getting one tree before the hunt's over and getting a good score."
Mm-hmm.
And we did turn them loose there, and what we had was like 6 minutes, I think. And I think it was less than 2 minutes after the hunt was over, she had a coon tree. And I was like, oh my God.
Of course.
Golly, screwed up and you still almost redeemed yourself, dog. Like, that's the kind of heart, that's the kind of drive, the willingness to please and the ability all coming together that I want. And that's all that I asked from the dog is for him to try, and she did. Like, but it's just like say you got to have the brakes and
Yep. Stone Creek Hound Supply, a family-operated business, boasts over 50 years of involvement in hounds. For over 2 decades, they've been dedicated to supplying high-quality hound gear. Their reputation is founded on unparalleled quality and exceptional customer service. Crafted from U.S. source materials, Stone Creek clothing is meticulously manufactured right here in Pennsylvania. Through their commitment to excellence, many of their customers have become lifelong friends.
Use the code TreeTalkingTime15 to save on all your purchases.
so that's kind of some stories just from way back in the day until current times, and that's skipping over a lot of them.
I'm sure.
I've had so many fun times hunting. I guess back when I was in high school, I spent so much time in my weekends hunting with me and a couple of my buddies, Cole Erlinger and Brandon Schroggy. We used to hunt all the time. They both had Redbones from me that I had raised. I guess one of the times was we were in the middle of a big section and we were walking to actually it was Jewel, one of the first dogs that I mentioned there that I had some success in the hunts with and raised some puppies out of her later on there. But we were almost to her tree one night and we were pretty late. It was well past midnight. Probably for young kids, we probably should have been home, but I don't think our parents would be worried about us causing too much trouble coon hunting. But we come up on a pair of mountain lions, and in our area, that's kind of rare and unusual. And some people really didn't want to believe us. It was back before we had smartphones, but I guarantee that's what they were eating on some. They had just butchered a bunch of pigs at the farm up the hill.
Okay.
There wouldn't have been anything else that would have acted like they acted, eating a bunch of raw blood and just spare, parts left over from butchering.
Mm-hmm.
And the people were like, "Oh, it was deer." I'm like, not doing what these animals were doing. Like it was, like they were standoffish. We were just glad to get around and out of the situation and over and get the dog and get back out of there. But I guess
That's pretty
just
crazy.
one of those. It was just an interesting situation. I still hunt in those spots now and haven't seen anything similar. But we have guys with game cameras and stuff that show up with sometimes with pictures of them and things like that. We even had recent times here in Southern Illinois. We've had black bears in our area the last 2 or 3 years. So I mean,
wow.
And we'll travel through our neighborhood. I guess we have enough feed for them and cover.
Yep.
And so they're coming back, But
Oh yeah.
we've got a ton of bobcats where I hunt here in Illinois,
Have
and
you ever
keep a
treed any?
dog. Never made it to a tree. We have run them. I guarantee it. I know what I'm running, and I know certain sections that it's almost like sometimes those animals just figure out when these dogs are in the woods and they want to just mess with them too.
Oh
Some of them
yeah.
will because there's a certain section that we hunt, and you pretty much know when the dogs get acting crazy on a wild track and they start doing weird things. They're probably running a cat, and there's times when I've seen cats running across. I've never had dogs really close to them. Never
Hmm.
made it to a tree. Usually things bail out.
Oh yeah.
I think if we chase them in the daylight, things like that, we probably could get them to hold. But I've never really wanted to get my dogs encouraged on them because they do it all the time. I feel like if they had the opportunity, because I think they're just a little bit more fun to run, maybe,
Yeah,
for
but then
dogs
you're
that got.
lucky. You'd tree one in a night hunt.
Yeah, you'd end up treeing one when you didn't want to tree one that'd stay put, or dog would be treeing and leaving all the time in a hunt or something. Yeah, it just was so. I just never have encouraged it. I hunted with a black and tan guy here at the World Hunt. He's from Minnesota, and he said he runs his dogs on both, and everybody in the cast was asking about it. And we were like, we never want to get our dogs started on it. We were all from either Mississippi or Kentucky or Illinois. We're like, yeah, that's trash in our neighborhood. Like,
Yep.
but he had his dogs where he was comfortable doing it. I guess they usually do. I guess in the snow, and they go and find the trail tracks and stuff and put them on them. And
Yeah.
we don't get enough snow here to really do it. I got some buddies that run coyote hounds. Uh, I never have done it. I've always just been stuck to my coon hunting and my dogs. And it's hard enough for me to get hunting spots. I don't need to
Yeah.
relationships with deer hunters and things like that. My coon hunting's a little bit more takes a little bit smaller area.
For
So,
sure.
so but I'm all about what they do, and I'll go with them a little bit and have some fun with them. It's fun, but it's just not. I'm tree dog thing. I could see myself getting into the squirrel hunting. But I'm too busy with what I do anyway.
Yep.
My schedule works really well for the nights of the week that I'm able to go hunting. And one or two nights on the weekend, I might go to a hunt or go hunting. And I need to spend time with my family and do that kind of stuff too. And I want to. So going hunting for me is when it gets dark, 7:30, like this time of year, I'll be going hunting.
There you go.
Or summertime, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'll go hunting for a few hours, come back home, get some rest, do the normal things during the day.
Yep.
So that's what's worked well for me. I could see maybe if I was a retired guy or something like that, I could get into the squirrel dog business and
Oh yeah.
either use Redbones or cur dogs or something like that. I'm really, really, really into. My dad has a little original mountain cur, a little yellow one.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
really, my, my, my youngest daughter Maddie really can't tell me if sometimes some days I ask her what her favorite dog is. She tells me Kenny, and then other days she tells me it's Goldie, the mountain cur, house dog over at my dad's house over at Nemo and Pops. So it makes me laugh. She loves all the animals and all the dogs and things anything. I think she'd work training dogs, getting them ready on the bench and stuff just as much or more than my older daughter will.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it that much, which
Well,
is
good
it
deal.
makes me smile, makes me happy, because that's the way I am. I've just always enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and some people think about the way I talk about it might sound like work, but I think it's just how serious I am about it. I just take it serious and I want to make a good showing. If I go somewhere, I want my dog to perform, and so that means we got to have it ready physically, we got to have it ready mentally, and all those things. And you got to be ready too when you're competing on those in those hunts. So
Absolutely.
as a handler, so but so you got to keep everything in working order. That's the hard part.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that don't go to these hunts.
Right. Yeah. And there's some guys that try to go to the hunts and they might not have it all. They might not have it figured out yet or have done enough of it. You gotta it takes some time and takes some effort, takes some homework, I guess you could say, and learning what your dog needs and how well they travel, and what you need to do to get your dog ready to travel.
Yep.
So, for say, for instance, like days off. Back when I was hunting those, traveling to those hunts, I was pretty serious about taking off a Sunday and maybe even a Sunday, Monday, hunting Tuesday, Wednesday, giving a day off, and then going to that hunt that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, like they would hunt through the weekend, but they'd only get a few nights of fun hunt or pleasure hunt through the week to kind of keep
Yeah.
them sharp. And that was just something that worked for the dog I was hunting. And I feel like if you hunt a dog too much, you got to keep it fun for them. And you can have a dog go off the rails. You don't want a train wreck. The
Yep.
dog going off the rails and it's not fun for them, or they're out of gas, or they can't, they just don't hold up. So you gotta find that balance. And to be honest, the people might need the balance too. Uh, depending on how much rest you're getting, and what you do for your job through the day. These this thing we do is a hobby, and there is some guys who are doing professionally, and I'm not against them, but being able to compete against them is it's tough for somebody that's working
Oh
a
yeah.
normal job. It's not impossible, but
Nope. They
those
all get
guys,
beat.
yeah, yeah, and so it's I think it's just an interesting. I think it's good for our sport to have the bigger money hunts and draw attention, and anything positive to our sport is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're getting some good PR by doing some of those things. But you know, uh, some of those dogs are the same dogs that get entered the entire circuit. Same owners, same handlers,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's good and bad things to that. I'm not against it either way. I'm just sitting back and watching. Maybe
Yep.
someday I'll play with some of that. It's gonna take some changes in the budgets for some of that stuff to pencil out. And better. I'm probably gonna have to have a better dog. But if I can compete with a Redbone at that level, man, I'd be all about it. I don't see myself changing enough and going and competing with a Walker dog or anytime soon. But
Not like you said when we were just talking earlier today. It means more. For one, you've had all this time invested in the breed, but two, just the fact that you took something other than a walker and were able to compete with those guys, and when you win, it's that much sweeter.
right, exactly. Yeah, like me and you said, and that's been one of my goals. And I tell people this, like, it means something to me. My goal is to go and be competitive, and if I win, that's icing on the cake. And anybody, and I'm not saying this in like a mean way. There's walkers and some of these other breeds. There's so many more
Mm-hmm.
dogs,
Oh
and they've
yeah.
been bred. They're essentially like the thoroughbreds of the industry. And not to say that our red bones aren't good. We just don't have a lot of them that have been. I don't know if it's bred or trained or a combination of the two. I think some of it might lean towards our guys just might not be interested in. They might see those dollar signs and it kind of might intimidate some of them as well.
Yeah.
We're not getting guys to invest in some of our dogs, and I think that there's definitely some good characteristics, and it depends on which way some of the rules go here in the next few years. And uh, if time of hunts gets lessened, which I see happening with bigger going dogs, I think we're going to be coming back to some of the cleanup type dogs
Yeah.
that treat behind dogs. And I'm good friends with some guys that have had these dogs for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're almost like they're going to clean out a woods type of dog. And not the fault the racehorse type. Not saying I'm talking about the pure athletic, awesome, talented Walker dogs that I'm trying to be competing with. There's good dogs in there,
Oh yeah.
but I think there's definitely some style differences and some training differences.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to take a Walker versus a Redbone or whatever, there's some training differences. There's just genetic differences on how those dogs are going to mature out and what you can do with them and what you're going to get for a final product. And the Redbone breed has some natural born coon dogs that will just, like I told you about that story with Firecracker female that we had, the natural ability to tree coons before a year old and make older dogs that are out there competing in hunts and doing well look dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not the only one that's ever done that. Like there's been some pure talent in our breed that some of them got this share to get in the spotlight, and I'm glad that they did. But there's probably others that either they never got pushed to see what they were, or they never got bred to the right dogs to make or in the right hands. Like I think a challenge for all coon hunters right now is we want to breed this next generation of winners, no matter what breed we're promoting. But there's less coon hunters hunt these dogs,
Yep.
pick these crosses, and to have places for them to go and to train these dogs. I feel like it's a huge challenge,
Oh yeah.
because you're essentially you're flooding the market sometimes, and we got prices of dogs due to these money hunts up pretty good. But I'm not seeing a lot of new people coming into our sport necessarily to take on some of these dogs.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like a new guy needs a puppy. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I feel like new guys in our sport are going to be using these dogs that we're breeding in some form or fashion, whether they acquire them at 2, 3, or 4 years old or younger. So the way that we place these dogs and get them into hunters' hands, I think, is definitely one of my challenges as a part-time breeder and somebody that's trying to raise or locate or find the next red bone that needs promoted or a bred to make more good red bones. I'm one of those guys that I don't really see. It doesn't matter to me where this dog came from. I'm interested to learn about this dog, especially a good red bone, because I'm passionate about these red bones and where they come from and what are they out of. How did they get their start? Who's handling them? And I just try and follow them, and I try and learn and try and be a sponge about all these different dogs that are out there. And it's impossible to learn about all of them, but I feel like we've got to have. I try and keep these as many doors open as I can,
Yeah.
and
You have to.
encourage the new guys you're coming in and hunting these dogs, and because that's what it's going to take for our hunting heritage
Mm-hmm.
here. Where coon hunting is popular in the Midwest and Eastern United States, and even as far out as Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas out through there. There's a lot of coon hunters and a lot of area to coon hunt, and I just want to see coon hunting successful. And I'm one of the biggest cheerleaders for the Redbone breed, and I want all the Redbone guys to know that if they need help or they ever need anything, reach out to me. I'm not hard to get a hold of. Come to Salem for a PKC hunt. Let me know. I'll help you get your dog in the woods if you need to get your dog in the woods, stretch his legs, whatever. Like uh, I want to see these guys successful. I want to see the Redbone breed successful, not just in the hunts, but in the shows. And I feel like we're closer in the shows. Like
Yeah.
we've got some really, really good looking Redbones, and that's great.
Yep.
I feel like we're knocking on the door, and I've been saying this for probably the last 5 years. I've seen more, hunted with more, and just seeing more success in the Redbone breed in general in competition hunts, which is so positive to me.
Yep.
I'm just go look at the PKC money earning list, and it used to be if you won $100, you were probably making the top 16. And this year, I don't think you made the top 24 if you
Good
won
deal.
that much money. You know, like, that's a pretty good gauge of what's actually happening in our breed, I think. Like, if those
Yeah.
dogs are able to go out and compete and some of them earn $2,000. So, like, shout out to those guys that are earning that much money. Tony Dominguez and Dean Daughtry up here in Marshall with his bred dog. I mean, Tony's got multiple dogs that are, and Dean's got a dog that has done some winning at pro classics and in hunts like that. And to be those guys are they're doing some awesome things with Redbones, and I'm glad to see it. I'm hoping that I can join them soon. You know,
Yep.
and I'm going to keep doing my thing and hunting what I enjoy. And see, I am the one that goes out and feeds them and takes care of them every day. So I'm gonna keep my red bones, I think, and I'm pretty sure I haven't said anything but so in my 20
Yep.
years, and it's just so positive to me to look around and see that. I think there was another dog in Tennessee named Big Bag John, and you start looking at their pedigrees and you're seeing dogs that were successful in the hunts. They're just not coming out of nowhere.
Oh
The
yeah.
Redbone been on a positive trajectory as far as making steps towards having these dogs at this level. So I'm just happy to be, reaping some of the benefits of these guys who've been breeding them. These guys that I've been talking about earlier that have been breeding these dogs for years and been around the breed longer than I have. I'm getting to enjoy their work, and hopefully I'm contributing, some of it as I'm becoming more involved, in some of the different aspects. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I'm giving back, being a good steward of the breed kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just me sitting back and reviewing and looking, because back when I started, there was dogs that were successful in the hunts, but it seemed like they were more spread out and, more concentrated in certain areas. And now we might be getting some more traction. So I'm seeing a little bit more. I'm even seeing some red bones entered in some pro sport hunts right now and things like that. So that's some
That's
positive
always
signs
good.
of competition side. And we've always been a breed that was like guys would come purchase our puppies when we were breeding them and use them for big game dogs and things like that. So I think it's interesting to see the crossover from big game dogs all the way to these dogs can be trained to be winning at a high paying competition coon hunt, the high
Yep.
purse event, or win a truck with one.
Exactly.
Hopefully I can have something to do with one, or maybe even be handling one someday.
Yeah.
That's one of the goals.
There you go.
But,
So, well, TJ, I really appreciate you coming on and talking all about Redbones. Like I said, I don't know much about them. Honestly, I can probably say I don't think I've ever been in the woods with a real. And when I say a real good one, I'm not saying that the dogs I've hunted with aren't good. Just the nights that I hunted with them, they didn't look real good. So, with a real good Redbone.
I understand. Well, maybe we can change that someday. You're welcome to come out and hunt with us anytime if your schedule allows, and we hunt. Where I live, we're able to hunt a good majority of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm blessed with good hunting, good majority of the year, unless it's like really icy in that January, February time. We have a few weeks off maybe, where hunting's not going to be much good. But we're far enough south. We've got good hunting most of the year. It gets a little warm in summertime, but everybody loves to come to Southern Illinois.
Yep. It's beautiful, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So.
we get a little bit of every kind of terrain and have plenty of coons to chase, and a lot of farmers that like us to hunt. So.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your time, and thanks for letting me come on.
Yep.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.